Number 1. The Silver Land of South America. Oh, Argentina. The land of silver, they said. Sounds majestic, right? Sounds rich. Like you'd walk in and trip over treasure chests, tangoing over bars of silver on every damn street corner. But here's the truth bomb, and I need you to catch this with both ears. Spain got played hard. Yeah, the name Argentina comes from argentum, the Latin word for silver. Cute, right? Sounds prestigious. Except there was no silver. Not in the ground. Not in the rivers. Nada. Zip. Zilch. Just a bunch of hopeful conquistadors chasing dreams and probably crying in their stale rations when they realized the only silver they were getting was from indigenous people's jewelry. Which, by the way, they were gifted. That's right. Spain rolled up thinking they hit the jackpot, and indigenous tribes were like, here, take these pretty trinkets, while probably laughing their asses off behind the nearest mountain. And let's talk about those mountains. Because Argentina has a lot of them. The mighty Andes guard the west like nature's version of a stern grandmother with a wooden spoon. And sitting at the top, Mount Aconcagua, standing tall at 6,960 meters, the highest point in the entire southern hemisphere. It's the kind of place that says, try climbing me, punk. Let's see how much cardio you really do. It's not just tall, it's smug. You hike up there, and suddenly you're confronting every life decision you've ever made while gasping for air. But wait, plot twist. Argentina's not just high. It's also low. I'm talking Laguna del Carbon, the lowest point in the Americas at 105 meters below sea level. A place so low, it's practically giving your self-esteem a mirror. You want symbolism? Argentina has emotional range. She's dramatic like that. One minute she's on top of the world, next minute she's in a salt pit wondering where it all went wrong. Relatable, right? Now here's the part that pisses me off. This country could have been a silver empire. Could have lived up to the name. But nope, just a marketing mishap that stuck. Imagine being named Goldie your whole life and working minimum wage at a pawn shop. That's Argentina. The expectation versus reality is so loud, it echoes across time. But don't let the silver lie distract you. Argentina's got soul. It's got tango, football, heartbreak, and steak that will ruin every other meat for you. It's passion and pain, volcanoes and vineyards, all slapped together like a messy breakup letter. It's a place where geography flexes on you, where nature is like, you ain't the main character, buddy. I am. So yeah, maybe Spain got duped. But the joke's on them, because Argentina doesn't need silver to shine. It's beautiful because of the chaos. And if you don't get that, you probably still think silver comes from banks and not blood, sweat, and a country that refuses to be simple. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're done falling for pretty names and ready to see places, and people, for what they really are. Not what they sell you. Not what they promise. But the raw, honest, imperfect truth that actually means something. Number 2. Beautiful women and digital romance. Let's talk about Argentina's women. Stunning, elegant, world-class gorgeous. And not in that your mom hyped you up kind of way. We're talking legitimate runway domination, beauty pageant slayers, women who could walk into a hurricane and make it stop just to compliment their cheekbones. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Why are half the country's population still on dating apps? You'd think beauty like this would mean the streets are flooded with love letters, sonnets, and spontaneous tango proposals under the moonlight. But nah. You know what they're swiping through instead? Disappointment. Emotional immaturity. Commitment issues with Wi-Fi. And don't come at me with, it's the modern dating era. That excuse expired 5 Tinder updates ago. Argentinian women, smart, sharp, emotionally woke, they're sick of the local nonsense. That's why more and more are actively looking outside their borders. Foreign partners. Different culture, different expectations, different standards. Why? Because apparently, emotional maturity and basic respect are now considered luxury items in the domestic market. Let me put it plainly, these women didn't evolve into queens just to be treated like parking meters by guys who ghost after 2 text messages. And let's not ignore the cultural elephant in the room. Argentina is a country where men are raised on passion but never taught how to handle emotions past jealousy and football rage. You can't build a relationship on vibes and hot blood alone. Eventually, someone's got to talk about feelings without sounding like they're confessing to a crime. So what do the women do? They go global. Not for money. Not for clout. For connection. For real conversations that don't start with chaos bomben and end with disappointment faster than a microwaved empanada. Now I know some people are going to get mad. How dare you generalize? Please. I'm not saying every Argentinian guy is an emotional potato. I'm saying there's enough of them that women are switching entire hemispheres just to feel heard. And let's not act like dating apps are the answer. Half the people on there are just bored, lonely, or emotionally constipated. It's not a solution, it's a symptom. The real problem is no one wants to grow the hell up. We glorify beauty, but ignore emotional intelligence like it's fine print in a software agreement. You want to keep these queens? Evolve. Be emotionally available. Have an opinion without being a jerk. Compliment her mind like you do her curves. And maybe, just maybe, she won't have to go halfway across the globe just to feel loved like a human being instead of a profile pic. Because here's the kicker, the beauty isn't what makes her rare, it's the fact that she still believes in love despite the garbage she's been handed. Now drop a 2 in the comments if you're tired of good women settling for men who haven't emotionally updated since dial-up internet. Let's call it what it is, and start leveling up. Number 3. Culture shocks await you. You ever show up early to something and feel like an idiot just waiting? Yeah, welcome to Argentina, where time is a suggestion, not a law. See, if you're the kind of person who sets alarms for 6 a.m., finishes breakfast by 7, and expects the world to be fully functional by 8, you're about to have a full-blown identity crisis. Because in Argentina, morning doesn't start until your coffee has a shadow, and shops? Try 10 a.m. if you're lucky. Now don't act surprised, you've seen this before. That friend who just needs 5 minutes, and shows up an hour late looking like they time-traveled through a wind tunnel. Argentina is that friend. But instead of apologizing, they greet you with a cheek kiss, yes, even if you're a dude. No warning. No consent form. Just face-to-face contact and vibes. And let's talk about dinner. You know how in most countries, 6 p.m. is peak dinner time? In Argentina, that's practically lunch. You sit down to eat at 7 p.m. and people will stare like you just bit into a raw steak in church. Here, dinner starts at 9 p.m. If you're eating before that, you're either a tourist or 4 years old. But here's the thing, they're not wrong. You're just conditioned. You've been taught hustle culture. Wake up early, grind all day, eat fast, sleep less. Argentina? Argentina's out here living like time owes them rent. They move slow, but with swagger. They've somehow turned procrastination into a national art form. And guess what? It works. While you're sprinting toward burnout like it's an Olympic sport, they're taking midday coffee breaks that last longer than your relationships. They show up late, but they show up happy. You show up early, and you're tired, bitter, and Googling why do I hate everyone. Here's the slap-in-the-face truth. Your obsession with efficiency is costing you peace. Argentina might not be on time, but they're on life. They hug longer, eat slower, flirt harder, and rest like it's their birthright. Because it is. But I get it, you're thinking, that's just lazy. No. Lazy is wanting change without rest. This is intentional. They've chosen connection over clock watching. Warmth over cold punctuality. That's why they kiss cheeks instead of doing that awkward half-wave, half-fist bump you call a greeting. So here's a question for you. What if the world you think is late, is just on a better schedule? Because let's be honest, you're not actually tired. You're overstimulated. You're not hungry, you're just time-starved. And somewhere deep down, you're starting to crave the kind of slowness that Argentina refuses to apologize for. Think about it, you set a calendar invite for everything. But when's the last time you scheduled joy? The real culture shock isn't in the timing, it's realizing you've been living fast and dying emotionally slow. Argentina isn't here to fit your structure. It's here to make you question why you need one so bad. Drop a 3 in the comments if you're ready to unlearn the noise and actually feel something real. Not productivity. Not punctuality. But presence. Yeah, that. Now go ahead, be late to the next thing. For once, it might actually save you. Number 4. A penguin mayor? Let's get one thing straight, if you feel like the world is upside down right now, it is. And here's your proof, a penguin was elected mayor in Argentina. Not in a cartoon. Not in a kid's show. In real life. An actual waddling tuxedo bird holds symbolic political office. And the first thing you think is, that's adorable. No. That's terrifyingly accurate. Because here's the truth you don't want to hear. A penguin might actually do a better job running things than half the suits in office right now. At least it doesn't lie. At least it doesn't pretend to care about infrastructure while embezzling the road money. At least it doesn't tweet at 3 a.m. like it's starring in a political soap opera. But let's back up. In Punta Tambo, Argentina, over 1 million Magellanic penguins roam free every breeding season. That's not a random stat. That's a reminder that somewhere out there, a bird with a brain the size of a grape is living more authentically than you. They show up every year. Same beach. Same mate. Same routine. No ghosting. No breadcrumbing. No lying on dating profiles about being emotionally available. Just honest, committed, flightless birds making more penguins like clockwork. You ever wonder why penguins seem more loyal than most people you've dated? Yeah, that one's gonna sting. Sit with it. Now here's where it gets painfully ironic. Humans are out here swiping left on decent people, chasing the dopamine high of something better, while penguins are locking down lifelong partnerships like it's basic biology. Because it is. You want loyalty? Find a penguin. You want transparency? Elect one. Here's the kicker. They made this penguin an honorary mayor. Not as a joke, but as a symbol of how deeply they respect nature. And maybe, just maybe, because they're tired of listening to humans screw it up. Let that sink in. A community so in touch with its values that it symbolically gives political honor to a bird, because it gets that respect, loyalty, and purpose are found in the quiet rhythms of life. Not the chaos we've glamorized. Meanwhile, you're stressed about emails, fake friends, gas prices, and whether your boss thinks you smiled enough on Zoom today. Maybe it's time to unlearn the noise. Maybe what you need isn't another productivity hack, but a cold beach, a partner who doesn't flake, and a town that values truth over theatrics, even if that truth waddles and honks. Here's your gut check. If a penguin can lead with consistency, maybe the problem isn't the system. Maybe it's us. So next time you're rolling your eyes at something that seems silly, ask yourself, is it actually silly, or just more sincere than you're used to? Drop a 4 in the comments if you'd vote for a penguin over half the politicians you've seen this year. Don't lie. You know you would. Number 5. Mate, more than a drink. You think your $8 oat milk vanilla foam triple shot from Starbucks makes you cultured? Please. Sit down and listen, because I'm about to introduce you to something that isn't just a drink, it's a lifestyle, a trust fall, a test of your soul's cleanliness. And no, it's not a detox tea from Instagram. It's Mate. Not Mati. Not Matt. Not your college roommate who still owes you rent from 2013. It's unmatched. And in Argentina, it's basically a religion. No, scratch that. It's deeper than that. Religions divide people. Mate unites them. Let's start with a shocker. This is a shared drink. Yeah. One gourd. One metal straw. Multiple mouths. Your germophobic brain just short-circuited, didn't it? But that's exactly the point. In a world obsessed with personal space, bottled water, and antibacterial everything, Argentina said, you want to build trust? Then sip after me. It's not about the caffeine. It's not about the taste, though it does punch you in the tongue like a green tea with street cred. It's about connection. This is the ultimate no BS social test. You can't fake Mate. You can't dodge it with polite smiles or small talk. You're either in or you're out. And let me tell you, when you say gracias while you're drinking, that's not you being polite. That's you tapping out. That's you saying, I'm done, I don't want any more. Say it too early and you're basically ending the social bond mid-hug. You just told your new Argentinian friend, I'd rather scroll my phone than share your soul brew. Good luck getting a second invite. Meanwhile, you're in the US, sipping your double foam guilt latte alone in your car, doom scrolling through lives that aren't yours. Congratulations. You're hydrated and emotionally starved. See, Mate isn't about drinking. It's about showing up. It's the adult version of a playground handshake. It says, I trust you. I want you here. We're in this together. You know what would happen if Mate culture hit your office? Susan from accounting would lose her mind. Wait, we're sharing? From the same straw. Yes, Susan. Because your passive-aggressive post-it notes aren't building community. Mate is anti-performative. It's not branded. It's not sold in glass bottles with fancy fonts and buzzwords like infused with moonlight. It's just leaves. Hot water. A cup. A moment. Here's a truth bomb. Most people are lonely not because they're alone, but because they've forgotten how to share something real. And this? This is real. So go ahead. Judge it. Laugh at the gourd. Side-eye the metal straw. But deep down, you know you'd kill for one moment of real connection like this. The kind where you're not performing. Not networking. Just existing. Together. Drop a 5 in the comments if you're done sipping life through a plastic lid and ready to share something that actually means something. Number 6. Maradona, worshipped like a god. Let's get one thing straight. In Argentina, Maradona isn't just a football player. He's not even just a legend. He's a full-blown deity. And before you laugh that off like some exaggerated fan club behavior, no, they literally built a church for him. With commandments. With followers. Global ones. People pray to this man the way you pray you don't get fired for being late again. And here's the kicker, it's not even that weird if you stop pretending you're better than that. You worship celebrities too. You just don't have the guts to admit it. Taylor Swift posts a picture of toast and suddenly it's a cultural reset. Elon Musk tweets an emoji and your whole crypto portfolio catches fire. But Maradona? At least he earned his sainthood. You know why people built the Church of Maradona? Because the guy didn't just win games. He carried a country on his back like a backpack full of generational trauma. He danced through defenders like your mom dances around talking about family drama. He made football feel divine. This wasn't just sport, it was therapy with a ball. Now let's talk about Rosario. The city banned the name Messi. Not because they hate him, no. They worship him so much, they didn't want the name diluted by every third kid in kindergarten running around named Lionel. You know your culture is serious about football when you're protecting a name like it's a sacred relic. Meanwhile, back in the US, people are naming their kids Khaleesi, because a fictional dragon lady looked cool for 5 seasons and then burned down a city. Priorities. Let's be brutally honest. You think you love something that deeply? Be real. You don't even finish the Netflix shows you swear changed your life. You don't even remember your passwords. But these people remember every single goal Maradona ever scored. They can quote matches the way you quote TikToks. And why? Because the man gave them something no government, no economy, no therapist ever could. Hope. You want to talk about religion? Faith? Devotion? Maradona's funeral shut down entire cities. People cried like they lost a brother. Not a celebrity. A brother. Because when you're a kid growing up with nothing but a ball and a dream, and you see someone like him conquer the world barefoot and bleeding, you don't just cheer. You believe. And for the cynics in the back who love to whisper, but he had flaws, yeah. So do your saints. So do your heroes. You're just too busy filtering your selfies to notice. This man was messy, yes. Human, yes. But unforgettable? Absolutely. So no, I'm not surprised they built a church for him. I'm surprised your favorite athlete hasn't inspired more than a cereal commercial. Drop a 6 in the comments if you'd rather be remembered for being real than admired for being perfect. Number 7. 9 defaults and counting. You ever get so good at messing up that it becomes your brand? Argentina has. 9 times. That's how often they've defaulted on their national debt. At this point, the country should have a punch card: default 9 times, the 10th is free. Now before you start judging, let's be honest. We all know what it feels like to live paycheck to paycheck and pretend we're thriving. Argentina just does it at a national level. The difference? They do it with flair. They default, then go win a World Cup. That's like losing your job and buying a Ferrari to celebrate. It makes no sense. And yet, weirdly, it works. Here's the stat that should short-circuit your brain. Lionel Messi, one man, can generate millions for the Argentine economy just by showing up to a match. One man. One match. Meanwhile, entire sectors of the government are out here playing hide-and-seek with basic infrastructure. Let that sink in. A football player has become more economically valuable than entire ministries. Argentina doesn't print money, it breeds legends. You ever wonder why a broke country still spends like it won the lottery? Here's the answer no politician will say out loud. Hope sells better than spreadsheets. And Messi? He's hope in cleats. The country's GDP might be crying in a corner, but when Messi's on the pitch, it's a dopamine hit the whole nation mainlines like medicine. Because here's the thing, we're not just talking about football. We're talking about escapism that's legal. Argentina defaults, and no one riots. But if you cancel a match, now that's national chaos. And that's the brutal reality. People will forgive failure if you entertain them long enough. Sound familiar? Yeah, because you do it too. You're 12 grand in credit card debt but just ordered a $6 latte because it makes your day feel normal. You haven't cleaned your kitchen in 3 weeks but you know Taylor Swift's exact tour schedule. You're not lazy. You're just surviving with style, just like Argentina. This country has mastered the art of distraction. Their debt record looks like a horror story, but no one reads it, because Messi's still dribbling, and the fans are still cheering. It's like watching your house burn down while you roast marshmallows in the living room. You know what's terrifying? The fact that it's kind of genius. Economic collapse. Distract with a stadium full of people screaming "Vamos!" instead of "Where's my pension?" You want to feel seen? Argentina sees you. They are you. Struggling under pressure, barely holding it together, but still showing up with something magical when it counts. You're drowning in stress, but still cracking jokes. Broke? Probably. Beaten? Never. It's delusional confidence, and somehow, it works. So drop a comment. What's your Messi move when life keeps defaulting on you? Number 8. Champions of rights and equality. You ever notice how the countries with the biggest messes also make the boldest moves? Argentina legalized same-sex marriage back in 2010, while the US was still arguing over who should pee in which bathroom. That's not just progressive. That's prophetic. And if that made you flinch a little, good. That's the sting of truth rubbing against your comfort zone. But let's not pretend like this is some polished Disney tale. Argentina didn't clean its house before putting out the welcome mat. Nope. The place was still on fire, politically, economically, emotionally. And yet, while some countries were building walls, Argentina threw open the doors and said, "Come in, be who you are, love who you want, just try not to trip over the corruption." That's what makes it brilliant. See, we expect progress to come from shiny rich nations with TED Talk governments. But Argentina? Nah. They were knee-deep in economic disaster and political drama when they said, "You know what? Let's legalize love." That's like declaring a gender equality campaign during a food fight. It's chaotic. It's inspiring. It's real. And if that wasn't enough, Argentina elected the world's first female president. Not just South America. Not just Catholic countries. The world. Isabel Perón. In 1974. Meanwhile, some countries still think electing a woman is the final level of Jumanji. Let's pause there. A nation constantly on the edge of financial implosion was still decades ahead of so-called developed nations in letting a woman run the show. That's not irony. That's a slap in the face with a rhinestone glove. Now here's where it gets juicy. Argentina didn't stop at Isabel. They doubled down and elected Cristina Fernández de Kirchner later. Twice. That's not an accident. That's a message. We'll break the system, sure, but at least we're doing it in heels. But let's be honest. Most people don't even know this. You ask them what Argentina's known for, they'll say steak, Messi, and economic failure. That's it. No mention of LGBTQ+ rights. No applause for pioneering gender politics. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. People remember what's loud, not what's right. And yet, Argentina did it anyway. While the world was busy polishing its image, Argentina said, "Screw the spotlight, we'll do what's needed in the dark." That's guts. That's grit. That's what real leadership looks like. Not hashtags, not campaigns, results. You ever wonder why the loudest people always seem the least evolved? Maybe because progress doesn't need a megaphone. It just needs guts. And Argentina had the guts to be good before it was trending. So here's a thought. Next time you hear someone complain that their country is just not ready for equality, send them a postcard from Argentina. It won't fix their mindset, but at least it'll shut them up for a minute. Drop a comment. Which country says it's progressive but still lives in the Stone Age? Number 9. Tango, from slums to UNESCO. Let's talk about tango. Yeah, tango, the sensual dramatic dance that makes you feel like you just got slapped and kissed at the same time. Everyone sees it now as this elegant artsy thing for date nights and cruise ship talent shows. But here's what they don't tell you. Tango was born in the gutters. The slums. The gritty backstreets of Buenos Aires. And if you just flinched at the word slums, congratulations. You're the exact type of person this truth was meant for. See, tango didn't start in a theater with wine and roses. It came from a place where people didn't have silver spoons, just broken shoes and too much emotion with nowhere to put it. It was raw. It was desperate. It was the sound of survival. But then the world found it. And like it always does, it scrubbed it clean, slapped a tuxedo on it, and called it culture. Now it's part of UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage, which is just a fancy way of saying, we finally decided this thing poor people made is worth something. Once we stopped being scared of it. Oh, now you love tango? But when it was sweaty bodies in smoke-filled bars, grinding pain into passion on a cracked floor, you looked the other way. Typical. You ever notice how society does that? It ignores anything born from struggle, until it's dressed up and wearing cologne. The world wants authenticity, but only if it comes with air conditioning and a hashtag. Let that sink in. And don't get me started on the people who think tango's just a dance. Really? That's like saying therapy is just talking. No. Tango is a full-blown emotional earthquake with music. It's therapy without the copay. It's two people saying everything they can't say out loud, using footwork and eye contact that could melt glass. Now here's the part that should really punch you in the ribs. The same neighborhoods that gave the world tango? Still poor. Still overlooked. Still pushed aside. But their creation? Priceless. Globally celebrated. They honor the art but ignore the artist. Let's make this plain. You don't get to love the fruit and hate the tree it came from. You want the tango? Then give respect to where it came from. From the immigrants. The Afro-Argentines. The outcasts. The broke, the broken, the bold. So yeah, UNESCO slapped a gold sticker on it. Bravo. But the real honor? That tango survived all the crap people threw at it and came out shinier. That it didn't need approval to be powerful, it already was. And if that makes you uncomfortable? Good. Because comfort never changed the world, passion did. And tango? Tango is pure, unapologetic passion. Now go ahead. Comment below, what's something the world only respected after it was gentrified? Number 10. Therapy capital of the world. Let me guess, you hear Argentina has the most psychologists per capita, and your first thought is, well yeah, have you seen their economy? Cute. Real original. But here's the truth bomb you weren't ready for. Argentina didn't turn to therapy because it's weak. Argentina embraced therapy because it's self-aware. And if that makes you roll your eyes, congratulations. You're exactly the kind of emotionally constipated person this segment is targeting. 222 psychologists per 100,000 people. That's not a statistic. That's a flex. That's a country saying, yeah, I cried today, wanna fight about it? Meanwhile, in half the world, people still think going to therapy means you've lost your mind. No, genius. Going to therapy means you're trying to keep it. We treat mental health like it's a luxury. Like only rich people with scented candles and yoga pants are allowed to feel sad. But Argentina? Argentina said screw that. They treat therapy like the gym. You go regularly. You work on your emotional labs. And if your mental health needs spotting, there's a licensed professional waiting with a clipboard and a couch. Oh, and get this. Public universities offer therapy for free. As in, 0 pesos. Nada. Zilch. And not just for citizens. Even for foreigners. You're out here paying $300 an hour to talk to someone who nods for a living and Argentina's handing it out like candy at a parade. The audacity. Here's what really grinds my gears. People scoff at this like it's some kind of weird cultural quirk. Oh, Argentinians are so emotional. Really? Maybe they're just not emotionally bankrupt like the rest of us. Let's be real for a second. Half of you won't talk about your feelings until your third drink, your fourth breakdown, or your fifth failed relationship. Argentina? They talk about it on Tuesday. Sober. With intention. With a notebook. And yeah, probably with tears, but also growth. You know what's truly messed up? People will get on a treadmill 5 days a week to fit into jeans that still won't love them back, but won't sit with a therapist once to unpack why they're chasing validation like a clearance sale. And Argentina gets it. They know the head needs just as much attention as the heart. They know real strength isn't pretending you're fine. It's having the guts to say, I'm not, but I'm working on it. So go ahead. Mock it if you want. But while you're stuffing down generational trauma with fast food and fake smiles, they're journaling, healing, and breaking cycles. Now here's your challenge. Drop a comment and be honest. When's the last time you checked on your mental health without brushing it off like a cold? Because if Argentina, the land of football, tango, and economic chaos, can lead the world in therapy, what's your excuse? Number 11. Coffee prices that inflate daily. You ever go to a cafe, look at the menu, and think, didn't that coffee cost less yesterday? Yeah? Well, in Argentina, they think that by lunch. This isn't your oh no, eggs are up 30 cents inflation. This is you better buy that milk now or you'll be trading your kidney for it tomorrow inflation. It's not economic instability, it's full-on financial Jenga. Except every block is already falling, and the tower's on fire. True story, Argentine shop owners update their prices multiple times a day. Not month. Not week. Day. You blink, your burger went from 900 pesos to 1,300. You sneeze, it's 1,500. God forbid you check your phone and forget to buy. By the time you look up, it's sorry sir, we only take steak now. And yes, beef is a currency now. Because when your national money has the value of Monopoly bills after game night, you gotta get creative. People literally use steaks to barter for things like rent, school supplies, even braces. And honestly, that's still more stable than crypto. But here's the punch. Argentines didn't just sit there crying into their empanadas. Nope. They took those worthless peso bills, those flammable toilet paper tier excuses for currency, and turned them into purses. Art. Handbags. Literal fashion statements made out of broken dreams. That's not just protest. That's poetic vengeance. You know what that is? That's turning trauma into Etsy merch. That's surviving a financial apocalypse with a glue stick and sass. And before you chuckle from your safe economy, ask yourself this. How far are you from your next meltdown? How long before you're trading your Netflix password for groceries and trying to Venmo someone a rotisserie chicken? Because Argentina? Argentina is what happens when a country finally says, fine, crash the economy. We'll just remix it. Now here's the stat you didn't ask for but won't forget. In 2023, annual inflation hit over 200%. That means if you saved $1,000 under your mattress, by the end of the year it's barely worth a decent haircut. Which is fine, because stress already made you lose half your hair. Here's a metaphor for you. Argentina's economy is like a group chat on fire. No one knows who started it, everyone's panicking, and someone's still sending memes. But guess what? Despite the chaos, Argentinians still dance. They still drink mate, they still fall in love, they still joke. Because when life robs you blind, all you have left is rhythm, rage, and a damn good sense of humor. So here's your soul punch moment. Maybe we're not afraid of poverty. We're afraid of not knowing who we are without our fake financial security blanket. Argentina knows. Do you? Comment below. Would you survive if money collapsed tomorrow? Or would you fold faster than your 401k in a recession? Number 12. Must-see wonders. Let's be real. Most people's idea of adventure is switching their phone to airplane mode and pretending they're off the grid. Meanwhile, Argentina? Argentina laughs in your face, hands you a bottle of Malbec, and points to the literal end of the world. Yeah, there's a train there. It's not a metaphor. It's real. It's called the Tren del Fin del Mundo, the train to the end of the world. And no, it's not where your Amazon packages go to die. It's a literal train that runs through the southernmost tip of the planet, near Ushuaia, a town so far south penguins probably pay rent. But let's talk about you for a second. You keep telling yourself you want to see the world, but your idea of culture is watching TikToks in bed with Thai takeout. You say you want nature, but when someone mentions a glacier, you assume it's a skincare brand. Enter Perito Moreno Glacier. This icy behemoth moves 2 meters a day. That's faster progress than your last 3 situationships combined. And unlike your gym membership, this thing actually works. It cracks, shifts, and thunders like a giant breathing planet. And you're worried about your Wi-Fi speed? And then there's Iguazu Falls, a waterfall so massive and deafening it makes Niagara look like a leaky faucet. There are over 270 cascades pounding the earth like nature's drumline. You don't see it. You feel it, like your ancestors just woke up and said, yeah, that's power. But here's where it punches. You're sitting in a world so overstimulated, you can't even enjoy silence without background noise. You scroll past beauty every day, numb to wonder. Argentina? Argentina force feeds you all. It doesn't ask for your attention. It grabs it. And Buenos Aires? Oh, you thought Paris had charm? Buenos Aires is like if Paris had a wild summer fling with Barcelona and then raised their love child on tango, steak, and socialist philosophy. The streets are elegant. The buildings? European with a rebellious streak. And every corner cafe? Better vibes than your last 3 vacations combined. Here's the irony. Everyone says they want a life worth living, but nobody's willing to get uncomfortable. Travel feels like too much effort. Too messy. Too unpredictable. Exactly. That's the point. Real experiences should shake you. They should make your jaw drop, your chest swell, and your inner cynic shut the hell up. Argentina does that. Not gently. It slaps you awake with scenery so dramatic you'd think Mother Nature was trying to win an Oscar. So ask yourself, are you actually living, or are you just collecting timestamps between deadlines? Because Argentina isn't just a trip. It's the therapy session you didn't know your soul needed. No couch. Just cliffs. No therapist. Just waterfalls screaming, wake up. Comment below, if a train to the end of the world existed in your life, would you take it? Or are you too busy buffering? Number 13. Culinary delights. You ever notice how everyone swears they live for good food, and yet somehow end up eating soggy office sandwiches and microwave trauma 5 days a week? Let's not pretend. You're not hungry, you're bored. You're not savoring life, you're numbing it. And food? It's become background noise. Calories over connection. Speed over soul. Argentina doesn't do that. Argentina looks you dead in the eyes, hands you a slab of sizzling beef the size of your regrets, and says, sit down. Shut up. This matters. Welcome to Asado, the social barbecue that makes your 4th of July cookout look like a sad Tinder date with charcoal. This isn't grilling. This is ritual. A slow, deliberate, primal communion with meat, fire, and people who actually talk to each other without checking their phones mid-sentence. You know what's funny? We romanticize family dinners and Sunday meals, but most of us eat alone, over the sink, or under fluorescent lights. Argentina flips that script. They turn a chunk of cow into a spiritual experience. And you? You've been making eye contact with your air fryer. Here's the kicker. Argentina has one of the highest meat consumption rates in the world. The average person eats 109 pounds of beef a year. That's not a craving. That's a belief system. And it's not just asado. Enter empanadas, tiny pockets of truth, stuffed with everything you wish your life had: flavor, warmth, intention. Each bite is a clapback to your sad frozen burritos. Then there's milanesa. Imagine if your comfort food went to therapy, glowed up, and came back breaded, golden, and emotionally available. Still with me? Let's talk dulce de leche, a spread so sweet it makes Nutella look like a side hustle. It's not just dessert. It's edible nostalgia. It tastes like everything you were supposed to feel as a child but never did because your parents replaced affection with productivity. But here's what no one tells you. Argentine food isn't just about eating. It's about being. Being present. Being connected. Being alive. You sit. You eat. You talk. You laugh. You digest your food, and maybe even your emotions. Weird, right? So ask yourself this. When's the last time your meal actually meant something? Not just filled your stomach, but filled that hollow, gnawing, scrolling-induced void that's been chewing at your soul? Thought so. See, we keep chasing the next big life hack, the next shortcut to happiness, when sometimes the answer is literally marinating over an open flame. Argentina figured out that joy doesn't always need an app. Sometimes it needs a grill, a chair, and people who don't need to pretend they're okay. So, maybe you don't need a new diet. Maybe you need a new definition of enough. Comment below. If food could fix one thing in your life right now, what would it be? Number 14. Festivals full of fire and ice. Let's get something straight. You're not too busy to live. You're just boring. Yeah, I said it. You've confused exhaustion with importance and replaced wonder with whatever's trending on TikTok. You tell yourself you don't have time for festivals, but you watched 3 seasons of a dating show where people fall in love through a wall. A wall. You used to be fun. Remember that? The version of you that didn't flinch at spontaneity, that danced in public like no one was watching, or didn't care if they were. Argentina remembers. Because Argentina doesn't beg for permission to live loud. They throw festivals like their sanity depends on it, and honestly, maybe it does. Because when life feels like it's swallowing you whole, sometimes the only cure is to cover yourself in sequins and dance until your bones hurt. Let's start with Carnival de Gualeguaychú. Imagine Mardi Gras, if it had therapy, better taste, and abs. We're talking feathers, fire, music that makes your spine do things you didn't know it could. It's not a party. It's a public exorcism of sadness. And no, it's not too much, you're just too little. Then there's the Tango Festival in Buenos Aires. Oh yeah, that's right. Actual connection. 2 people in sync, making eye contact without a phone in between. Wild concept, huh? But dancing's not my thing. Cool. And neither is human interaction, apparently. See, tango isn't just a dance. It's unspoken rage and unfiltered romance wrapped in rhythm. It's staring into someone's soul and saying, I could destroy you or love you, depending on how this next step goes. Meanwhile, you're ghosting people because they use too many emojis. And if heat's not your thing, fine. Bariloche's Winter Festival is waiting to slap your excuses with a snowball. Literal ice sculptures, torchlit parades, mountains that make your screensaver jealous. It's the kind of place that makes you wonder why you ever settled for a Christmas party with off-brand soda and a secret Santa who gave you socks. Here's the truth. You're not drained because you're doing too much. You're drained because you're doing too little of what lights you up. You've confused hustle with meaning, productivity with presence. And now you're wondering why you feel like a sleep-deprived printer, overworked, underfed, and jamming every time someone asks you for something. You want to feel alive again? Get uncomfortable. Go where people still believe in music, movement, and meaning. Argentina isn't asking for your permission. It's already dancing, and frankly, it's your soul that's late to the party. So here's the question. When's the last time you celebrated life without needing a reason? Scroll down and comment the last time you actually danced like you meant it. If you say wedding, we're fighting. Number 15. Surprisingly affordable living. Let's cut the polite nonsense. You're not broke, you're bleeding money in a country that gaslights you into thinking $3,000 a month is normal living. You're paying $2,200 for a box with drywall so thin you can hear your neighbor chew. And no, Karen, that's not ambience, that's poverty in surround sound. But you know what's really offensive? Argentina exists. Yeah. A whole country where rent in the capital, mind you, can still be less than $400. That's not a typo. That's an insult to every overpriced shoebox you've ever lived in. But isn't there inflation? Oh sweetie. If inflation was a deal breaker, you wouldn't still be in the US where eggs play hopscotch with your checking account. Argentina may have inflation, but at least it's honest about it. Over there, your dollar still stretches. Over here, it just gives up. Let's do the math. A full meal in Buenos Aires? Under $10. That's the price of a sad sandwich and a guilt trip in most US cities. Monthly living expenses? $400 to $700. That's not rent. That's everything. Rent, food, fun, freedom. Meanwhile, you just spent $54 on oat milk, a candle, and a bad decision. And don't even start with, but what about the lifestyle? What lifestyle? The one where you spend 80% of your paycheck on survival and the other 20% convincing yourself you're grinding? Let's stop pretending. You're not investing in your future. You're renting one bedroom and a microwave with dreams of maybe one day affording therapy. Argentina lets you breathe. You can eat steak on a Tuesday, take a taxi without taking out a loan, and actually go outside without budgeting for parking, snacks, and your soul. Here's a fun twist. People who move to Argentina don't just survive, they start living like the main character. Art, wine, music, real conversations. You know, all the stuff your overpriced gym membership can't give you. And yeah, there are trade-offs. You'll learn Spanish. You'll adapt. You'll maybe even grow a personality. But what you won't do is work yourself into an early grave just to afford rent and a weekend hobby that barely distracts you from your slow existential collapse. So here's the question. Are you going to keep pretending $3,200 per month is just the cost of living? Or are you ready to admit you've been scammed? Argentina's not perfect, but it doesn't pretend. It gives you space to live, fail, get back up, eat good food, and actually feel something again. Comment below if you've ever looked at your rent and thought, this can't be real life. Spoiler, it isn't. And you deserve better. Now go find it. So whether it's the mate, the mountains, or that dangerously addictive charm, Argentina doesn't just surprise, it seduces. Like, share, and subscribe if you're into places that break your expectations, not your wallet. And hey, Argentina may default on debt, but when it comes to magic, it always pays in full. This information is for reference only. Please make sure to do your research before making your decision.